Today, Radio Bypass is pleased to introduce you to the band Desert Dragon. Today, November 11th, Desert Dragon has released a brand new album. This Side of Heaven is the name of the record. And to tell us about the record and the band, we are joined by guitarist Greg Pinot and vocalist Keith St. John. How are you guys?
Hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys. It's a big day for you, huh? New record's out today.
Yeah, it's
Is
cool.
oh, wow, look at the calendar. Yeah, it is out today. Look
And
at
happy
that.
Veterans Day.
Back at you.
What I'd like to have you guys tell us about first is introduce us to the band a little bit. I did play the first single on last Saturday's music show, Lock and Load, killer track, guys. But tell us about the band. Give us your background.
Keith, want to go? Okay, well, basically, yeah, we our singer moved out of town, so we need a new singer, and we're just kind of kicking around, and our bass player Rick basically threw up Keith's name and called him, and we sent him the stuff, see how he digs the vibe and everything, and he seemed to like it, so we got together and showed him some of the stuff that we were doing, and started to put it together from there, and I thought it came out real well. It's pretty rocking.
It is pretty rocking. I agree.
Right on, man. Right on.
I agree. And then this was a new collaboration then with you guys, but you ended up co-writing the songs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So I started listening to the material when Greg was sending me over the initial ideas. And, I get a lot of stuff and a lot of offers to come in and sing on stuff from all kinds of people all over the world. It's, just you do this enough years in this business and the circle gets smaller and smaller and you start knowing everybody. And I didn't know these guys at all and hadn't heard of them before. And when I started sifting through the material, I was really pleasantly surprised by some of the turns and twists that I haven't heard in a really long time, since like maybe, the 60s and the 70s music where, people who came from other backgrounds like classical, like I kind of came from a classical background growing up as a kid. So when I was listening to a potential Desert Dragon tune that Greg sent me, which was chunking along like a foreigner meets like early free kind of thing, and then all of a sudden breaks down into just a cello and a piano, like in the middle, doing this whole side note musical piece. It gave me an opportunity to almost pull like a Queen move, a Freddie move, and like do something musically that I don't really have the opportunity to do in more of the metal kind of stuff that I do. So I was intrigued by it, and I was I was really interested in doing something that refreshing, that brought me back to something somewhere between like Strawberry Fields Forever and Deep Purple and Kansas. And then each time they were throwing new riffs at me, I'd have the same kind of surprise, like, oh my God, who does this nowadays? So that's kind of what really inspired me to get involved with the band and the record. And then as far as other new members, there's a guitar player that I've known since the 90s who has worked with me on St. John records, who's really, really proficient, that when Greg needed another guitar player to come in and do some playing, especially in some of the lead capacities, I called up Brent, and he heard some of the stuff and played on it, and Greg loved it, thought it was really cool. So he was also a new addition, Brent Barker, to the Desert Dragon family. And the other new guy is a drummer who was almost the drummer that came to that gig you said you saw with me and Mitch Perry play the other day. His name's Lenny Roberto, and he's a drummer that Mitch plays with quite often and I play with quite often, who wound up playing, I think, maybe 7 out of the 10 tracks on this record, if I'm not mistaken. And, so I, of course, was happy about that, having some of my cronies come in that, I really dig their playing, and I was, and Greg happened to really dig it too. And so that's it. So like now Desert Dragon is kind of a whole new, it has this whole new canvas in addition to the very eclectic, I'd say maybe progressive area they were coming from, sort of progressive in that Kansas Yes kind of way, where it was still kind of got those, like nice major commercial payoff choruses, but always some interesting area of some progressive moves that you didn't expect. So
Right.
then we added these guys. We added these hard rock metal guys, me being one of them, to this. And I think the album has a really interesting feel.
It
So,
does. It does. I was telling Greg I got a chance to listen to all of it this morning, and I've got my early favorites. And yeah, I hear exactly what you're talking about.
killer.
So, Greg, how's that for you then? You're the founder of the band, and now you've got a largely a new band.
Yeah.
So did that spark new things out of you? Did it?
Yeah. Well, we had one guy moved to Vegas, another guy moved up to San Francisco, and then I had some other stuff I was writing, and I picked up Mike Smith, our keyboard player, along the way. We started writing some stuff, and like picking people, it's like you got to get along with the people, number one, even before you pick up an instrument or start singing or anything. So I think, well, to make Keith feel comfortable, let's see if he has any people he thought would be good for this stuff. And then like you said, he brought in Lenny and Brent, real cool guys, and really great musicians. And that's what we came up with. That's how we got to where we're at.
Got it. Nice. Well, that's cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the first single, Lock and Load. You guys released a video for it, which I watched also. Looks very cool. I like it. But the song just drives. It's really, really a driving song, and I love it. Tell us about that track.
Yeah, basically that one I worked on quite a bit. It has a long intro, and I've had a couple other people said they really dug it. They haven't seen that in a while, and kind of had to fight the guys to keep it there. But I think it sets it up for the other, I guess, second intro, I guess, if you will. And I kind of got the idea from I think, what's it called, Long Time or something like that, by
Boston,
where it has that hugely long intro. I always thought I think that's like one of their best songs. So we did that, and I'd met a guy that had played actually with David Gilmour, played saxophone, and he was playing with a tribute band here in town called Which One's Pink. And so he got off, and I was talking to him after he got done on the side of the stage and stuff, and it was really cool. And I got his number and really didn't think about it for a long time. That we need sax. So, hey, how about that guy that I had that number with a long time? So I called him up, and he said, yeah. So he brought over I think he had 3 saxophones with him, and killer saxophone player. And so we put that in, and but I wanted that to be a really hard driving song. Some of the stuff's not quite so heavy. So my wife says, you got to make this album heavier and stuff. So try to make this album a little bit heavier, and which I think this song really did. And you got anything to add, Keith, add to that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just to clarify, this is one of those, in this song, this is one of those, I would call it sort of more progressive moments, right? You've got a song that basically started out with a heavy Deep Purple sounding guitar riff, gow, 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 and the drums.
Right.
But before that happens, now in Greg's thinking, which I would have never thought of, and I don't think anybody else would, we've got this Pink Floyd-ish sort of, not really, but there's shades of it, intro, with
Right.
what wound up being used as a Barry sax. It's a real deep, heavy sounding, it's in your face, you can feel the sax in your chest. And it's got this sort of big fanfare, kind of like an Emerson, Lake and Palmer, big kind of, boom, 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 boom. You got the sax part underneath it. and then that trails down and trickles to the end where you're just following it down, and then the guitar finally comes in and smacks you in the face with the riff.
Right.
And now you're in like, you know, a kind of like Burn meets, you know, yet just kind of a deep purpley kind of thing that just plows through.
Yeah, it just takes off. Yep.
But the interesting thing is that intro part, which you would never expect. It's almost like, you know, the Beatles' White Album, how, you know, they're moving along with the continuing story of Bungalow Bill, and then all of a sudden Paul's next piano riff comes in and the drums kick in, and you're like, whoa, what just happened?
Right.
So that's kind of what, you know, for me, that's kind of like the highlight of the band, is those kind of moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said. And I was just curious, since you chose this as the first single, going to what you said about your wife, Greg, was that what you wanted? You want to make sure you got a harder thing out there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of them that I, you know, that could have been, you know, the first ones to come out. I mean, we got some radio play and stuff on Bad Luck that did pretty well. And we had another one that I thought was going to be the next one, was Swamp Thing, but our marketing guys thought that that Lock and Load, which I've no problem with, because that's what, you know, that's one of my favorites. But another one, like I say, was Swamp Thing. Those are probably the top three that were just really strong. So if anyone out there listens to Lock and Load, listen to Swamp Thing as well, because it's pretty grooving.
Yeah, I do dig that song, but I got to tell you, I mentioned I had some early favorites that I would share with you what those are. For me, Lock and Load, and this is going to change as I get more repeated listenings to the record, but for today, Lock and Load, Vulture City, and South Side of Heaven are my three very early faves, along with, because I thought this was a cool way. I think you picked the right track to start the thing off with, was Bad Luck. So those are my early favorites. I got to tell you, Swamp Thing's cool, but those tracks for me, they just spoke to me. I don't know. I dug them a lot.
It's got a little more of an edge on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's what I like, being the hard rock, heavy metal type guy that I am mostly.
Exactly.
Those songs all are driving. I like the way the guitars sound. Of course, your vocals, Keith, are always just spot on. It was great. So those are some of my early favorites, but South Side of Heaven, even, I thought, had some interesting moments in it. You know, speaking like what you were talking about, Keith, was with all the different elements here. I'd like to know a little more about that song.
Well, that song, you know, it really evolved many times. You know, we reworked different sections and moved the arrangements around a lot, because it's so long and there's so much going on in it. And it was really, I think Wynn found it complex, you know, if not difficult to mix, because there's just so many things that could be brought out and could be featured going on underneath the verse and all the other sections. So that song was definitely a long kind of labor of love. But, you know, I mean, within all that, I think for my part of the process anyway, I always tried. When I don't have a vibe that's just flowing from the universe, I just quit. I stop. Mm-hmm. So within all that, crafting how the song's going to go, I still think all the parts feel very, very inspired. Mm-hmm. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, we had 3 chefs constantly working on that tune and bringing in, oh, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And it's one of those pieces of art that could just keep on going and never be done. And you just, when it's time to mix it, we just had to call it and say, this is where the arrangement's at. This is how many multi-layers of strings and oboes and, you know, fruit bats and orangutans we have on the intro. And that's just the way it's got to stay. So
right.
That, I guess, you know, like I said, is probably the most complex, layered song of all of them. At least that's the way it felt for me, from my perspective, when we put the record together. You know, it's like, you know, it was like 75% all the other songs and 25% of the work we put into South Side of Heaven, if that makes any sense, you know.
I can follow that. You feel the same way, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I thought at different, times, I like, hey, this is really long, maybe for people to trudge through this and everything. But every time I tried to do and experiment with a little bit and like cutting it down, it just everything kind of flowed into everything, and it made sense then. So I finally said, you know what, it's just going to be a long track, and it's just like it's definitely for me, an epic piece of music. I mean, it was a long time coming for that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
check it out, man. I mean, the only thing I could compare it to is, you remember a band called HSAS?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Sammy and Aronson. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
and Shreve,
Shreve. Yeah.
yeah, and Neil. They had a track on that HSAS record called Giza,
Yeah,
which
I remember that.
which I think was their kind of answer to Kashmir in a way, like that thing. And then, so this tune kind of reminded me a little bit of Giza, maybe in certain ways. And
Hmm. Now I'm gonna
once
have to go
again,
back and listen to that track again. I haven't listened
I
to it
was
in
super
years.
surprised, to hear it. I was like,
Right.
wow, they're really doing some stuff. We got super heavy things with like wind chimes over it, and you just uh, I brought in my buddy who played some solo violin on it, who he was with Plant Page in the 90s. He was part of the Egyptian string section that they had, and he's a wonderful um, violin player who does all the quarter tones, and it was great to have him on that song, because it's like that song is the sort of the earth and the heavens and the gods, and that's the song that has that feel to it, and it was perfect to bring in that crazy, sometimes Zeppelin did those little quarter tones and like just
Yep.
bent the devil into your ear a little bit, so
Right. It's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
I never thought that the that violin player, after seeing that show at the Forum, Plant Page, and him playing the violin, the lead violin to Kashmir, I never thought that he was going to actually be playing violin in my studio.
I bet. I bet.
It was pretty cool.
That is
yeah.
pretty cool. Well, that's awesome. So what else should we know about this record, guys? First of all, I guess where do you get it, right? At desertdragon.com.
DesertDragonOfficial.com,
Okay.
and you can order the actual physical CD on there, or you can do any one of the songs or all the songs, and you can sample them on there. There's little clips on there you can check out and see what you think, and other stuff, t-shirts, what have you. And but DesertDragonOfficial.com.
Okay. And social media,
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those.
all Desert Dragon official, or how do people
Uh,
find you there?
Desert Dragon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
And you can find those links on the desertdragonofficial.com. If you hit those, it'll re link you to the actual Facebook or whatever.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, tomorrow's music show, it'll be the day after the big release day today, but I'll definitely add some more songs in tomorrow's show. Um, Maybe my early favorites, maybe some of the ones you mentioned, maybe Swamp.
Yes,
Um,
put Swamp Thing in there.
yeah, I'll do that since that's something that you seem to like a lot. What about you, Keith? Beside Lock and Load, since that one I've already had the chance to play, what
um
would you pick? What should I play tomorrow?
a song that is kind of a standout, which is they're all very different in their own ways, but one that's really different is "God Bless Miss America."
That is different. That's that song, and that was that the second track, I think, isn't it? If I
Yeah.
remember, yeah,
It's early
yeah, and that
somewhere, but that
because
song, it
I
almost
thought it took. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, go ahead, talk about that one.
it almost sounds like it should be on the Grand Illusion record. That Styx record. We're
Right.
obviously a little heavier than that, but I mean, it's got some similar classic elements in it. And Greg? What did we call that? The pre-chorus part where the guitar is doing it. What do we call that? You always named it in the track. It's under the talking.
kind of the bridge type of part.
You had a perfect description of that. You used to call that. Anyway, there's a pre-chorus part that has like a talking, and I kind of made it sound like an old radio thing, kind of like that famous FDR speech, you know, where it sounds really nasal as if he's talking through a megaphone. But then there's this really musical guitar lead under it. So it's kind of like creates this buildup, and then the chorus just comes and hammers you. Like I said, it's like something off the Grand Illusion record, maybe, or something from the 70s.
Right.
And with those kind of major minor moments with the harmonies that, you know, kind of pull you in. So, and
All right.
yeah, interesting one. Starts out with like a sort of string quartet thing.
Right. It's quiet in
And
the beginning.
verse, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So I'd throw that one out there.
All right. Well, you're gonna get it. That's what I'm gonna add
Nice.
your two mentions tomorrow's music show for sure. And
Yeah.
obviously in the weeks to come, we'll keep featuring tracks off this record until we get through all of them. So this is, I know, sometimes a silly question in today's musical environment, but any chance these grouping of people will be able to get out and do this stuff live?
We're gonna try. I think, you know, it's all gonna be based on timing. You know, if as you know, I mean, you have to have some sea legs and some promotion going on to bring a crowd, you know.
Right.
Somewhere. Obviously, hometown LA is probably the best place we could do something, you know. Maybe we can go down and play the Whiskey, do a one-off and see how it goes, type of thing. But you know, before that happens, we need to create, you know, a little bit of a vibe online on the social media and whatnot. So
Right.
at least our local social media followers or whatever, we can at least have a few hundred people come down and show up at the Whiskey or something and make it fun, you know, and then, you know, see where it could go from there.
Right. Well, I hope you guys do manage to get this out there live. I think that would be great. And because the record's so good, it's just so good, and I can hear it kind of in my head. At least my so far early favorites, right? I always kind of hear in my head, what would that sound like in a live delivery, right? And I hear this stuff live. I mean, I think it would work really well.
You picked some really live sounding tracks too.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
Especially Vulture City, you know.
And I think I read that Greg, that you sorry, Keith, I didn't mean to cut you off. That you actually wanted more energy in this record too. I think I had read that you wanted something higher energy.
You know, I like a lot of the you know, Scorpions, you know, more Rat, Judas Priest, more, you know, in your face sort of sound. So that's what I was at least trying to get a few songs onto that, you know, with a little bit more energy. So I think we got it.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah. So sorry, Keith. I just had to interject when you mentioned about the energy. You're muted or something. We're not hearing you. You're back. You're back.
I'm saying it's your show, man. I interrupted you probably. So yeah, you just give me a little slap and all.
You got some good food there. Are you eating well?
Yeah, I'm trying to. You know, I skipped breakfast today, and it was a long run around of stops I had to make. The irony of this call right now is, I thought it was going to be at another time today.
I know we were trying for that originally.
I'm doing a show out in Vegas tomorrow, but the stop I'm at right now, I just stopped at one of my storages, is a couple miles away from Greg's house. I'm like right near Greg right now, but it just happened to work out that way, you know. But I got to jump on the road, and since I had to pick stuff up from storage, I'm actually driving back out to Las Vegas from LA, so it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but
gotcha. That's the life of a working musician, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Always. What can you do, man? But you know, it's these long drives. You can come up with new ideas and write, you know, fresh songs, man, when you're out in the middle of the desert and stuff. So
right.
Take advantage of that.
Well, we're talking about you doing something else. I guess we should probably put it out there in case, because I'll probably get questions. Burning Rain, Kingdom Come, you still involved in those things as well?
Yeah. Kingdom Come's actually Kingdom Come is playing at the Whiskey and some other places up in beginning of February. The news on that band is our star drummer, James Kotak, has taken a little break for his health reasons, and he'll be back. But my good friend Blas Elias is filling in on drums. Blas Elias
nice.
Slaughter.
Yeah.
And Blas and I also play together in Raiding the Rock Vaults in Las Vegas. But giving him a plug, he's out with Trans-Siberian Orchestra right now for the holidays and whatnot. As
Gotcha.
far as Burning Rain goes, my writing partner in that, Doug Aldrich, he's in a band called the Dead Daisies.
Right. One of my favorites.
They're very, very full-time working. I'm not sure. We have a whole bunch of songs in the can because we're kind of like that, you know, over the years that we've known each other. We'll get together and just put, you know, it's like Van Halen, you know, they had, I think when they did their first record, they had half of their catalog already in the can, you know.
Right.
So we've got a bunch of stuff. We could put a record together and write a few new things. If there's time for it in this up and coming year, I'll probably talk with Doug a little bit more serious about it over the holidays and see what we can put together, because it's probably time. So
Nice. Good.
So yeah, there's those things. And I guess one more plug for me is the Ron Coolin record. Ron Coulin's an artist from Holland, and his style that he writes is a little bit more with those heavy Euro metal kind of drum beats. You know, they're way different than the sort of stuff we're used to listening to, what we call heavy metal over here.
Right.
And that's an interesting thing too. So I don't know where you can find that when it comes out, because it's not that record's not mixed yet or anything. So, but it'll be out sometime early 2023.
All right, I'll file that away back in my mind to watch out for that name. That's cool. That's cool.
And you can come out and see me in Vegas right now, you know, as long as I have the time to do it, doing Raiding the Rock Vault, which is, you know, it's different guys from different bands. And we do a sort of historical music, sort of a walk through the 60s, starting with like The Who and Jimi Hendrix. And then we evolve through Zeppelin and Aerosmith and Kansas. And we end up at like Bon Jovi and Van Halen, you know, in the 80s, and Journey and stuff. And it's a nice show at the Rio.
I was just going to say, where's it at now? Because it moved like from where it was before COVID, right? It's at a different place.
Yeah. It's called the Duomo Theater. If you know,
got it.
That Duomo, Duomo Theater. It's in the Rio, and it's a great show. I mean, on a Tuesday night, it packs out. I mean, it does well.
Right.
It's fun.
All right. Well, next time I get to Vegas, I've never gone to it, so I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get the whole Desert Dragon Band out there, because, you know, we got access to the stage and the lights and all that stuff, and shoot some video footage.
Yeah. There you go.
It's not that far of a drive, so
right.
You know, hopefully we can make use of whatever resources, you know, we have, you know, while we do this stuff. I mean, that's, you know, the artist's life. You know, what can we get, and what can we borrow?
Right.
Beg, borrow, and steal. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad that you're so active. That's great. Nice that COVID's kind of over. You can actually get back to work and get out there and do these things.
Yeah.
Now we just got to get this band some dates booked somehow, some way.
That's it. Well, like I said, if the songs can get some sea legs on the internet, on the social media, obviously video is the vehicle. So, you know, we've got to really focus on being smart about the video, and so we can really build up some hits. Because, you know, for a new band coming out, if you can't get, you know, you got to get yourself a couple 100,000 hits, and hopefully, and then with that much noise, you know, you can get booked a lot easier, because you got to follow them at that point. So
right. All right, good. Any last words, Greg, before we wrap up?
No, I was just thinking, you saying you were up in Sacramento. Maybe if we do go on something up West Coast or something, if we could do that, maybe we can you know, hook up with you or interview if we're in town and try to get some
for sure.
Out,
yeah, that would be great. There's a lot of great venues up here. Keith,
is that
maybe
where you're at, Sac?
Yeah.
You know, someone just bought the boardwalk.
Yes, it's reopened. Yep.
Over in Orangevale.
Yeah.
So Mark's wife, I guess, sold it, and God bless Mark, man. What a guy.
Yeah, I didn't know him because I'm new. I'm a Chicago guy, but I had to move here about a year and a half ago for my wife's job. So I didn't know him, but I've learned the history since I've been here. I've made
Sure.
some friends here. In fact, ironically, you were in played with Ronnie Montrose, and maybe you know him too. And another friend I've made out here is Randy Scholes.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay, so he had given me the lowdown on the history of the boardwalk and all that
Right
too.
on.
So
Yeah. No, he's a local
yeah.
up there, man. He knows all that stuff, man.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great places. I mean, yeah, the boardwalk's open again. Goldfield Trading Post, both the Sacramento location and the one in Roseville are
Did Ace
nice
of Spades
venues.
close
Ace of
down, or is that
Spades.
still there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I just was there a couple months ago to see somebody. Yeah, that's a great venue too. So yeah, there's a lot of good places to play up here. Just a question of if it can be done affordably.
Right.
If you guys need a place to crash, we've got a guest bedroom, so we can help you with housing.
There you go, Greg.
Yeah, see,
Beg, borrow, and steal, man.
Keith always crowds the bed, though.
Well, we'll lay out some sleeping bags or something. We'll make room for you.
Okay.
Perfect.
You just put me with the dogs.
There you go. We'd probably have to board them, honestly, if you guys did stay here, but because they'd probably go crazy. Not used to people here since we've lived here.
Well, my thinking immediately goes to let's put some logos on the sleeping bags, and after they've been slept in, we need to auction those off.
Yeah, I like it.
There you go.
Man.
There you go. Marketing 101 right there.
Bam.
Bam.
That can help pay your electric bill,
I like the way you're thinking, Keith.
It's the only way we can think these days.
All right, guys. Well, I won't keep you. You've got some traveling to do, and maybe you've got some new songs to work on. Who knows, Greg? Maybe you got some stuff you need to pull out.
Yeah.
But congratulations on your release day. I'm really happy I got to be with you guys on your actual release day. I'll put this out on my stuff tonight, so it'll be out there to celebrate the release. And again, everybody, we've been talking with the band. Desert Dragon is the band name. The album is very important. You want to definitely check it out, This Side of Heaven. And we've had Keith and Greg here to tell us all about it. So thank you guys for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, my brother.
DesertDragonOfficial.com. Check it out.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care and good luck with the record.
Right on, man.
Thank
Over
you.
and out. Talk soon, man.
Okay. Check it. Goodbye. Bye.